Today we have a game review from Braxophone about Etheria Restart. This is not sponsored, and from the title, I can see that he's not a big fan of the game, but it's okay. I don't care about that. I just want to see what he has to say about Etheria Restart because he loves Honkai Star Rail. And I am your biggest Etheria shield or hater, depending on which video of me you watch first. So I want to see what he has to say.
The year is 2138. We actually have flying cars and somehow haven't all blown up due to dick measuring contests around the globe. Elon Musk's Catgirl experiment ended years ago and now we live alongside them. Life is strange, but life is good. You open up your invisible phone and browse the App Store, looking for a fun game. You download the first thing on the list, and why does this game look like it was made in 2012? Mobile games have improved every single year. At least some of them have. It really does feel like they're getting higher quality all the time, and that quality of life improves with every new iteration. The level of story writing, storytelling, game mechanics, and overall design just keeps getting better. But that
I agree, because we shouldn't compare game that is made in 2025 to game state, not game made, game state in 2018 or 2015, for example, because one of the most common comment I see in the Etheria comment section or discussion is, hey, look at Summoner's War Epic 7 back in 2016, how bad they were. Brother, today is today. Let's not look back in the past for too much, okay? Let's compare to what is made today to the state of the other game maybe like 3 years ago, not 10 years ago.
It only applies to some games apparently, because somehow Etheria Restart took everything that we felt good about in new mobile gaming and set us back 10 years.
But do you know about the one thing that didn't get better? Fucking 50-50. Dude, I was watching Mr. Pokey doing pool in Honkai Star the other day, and I think he lost like 8 50-50 in a row. He was so pissed, and I cannot imagine doing that in Etheria Restart. That's a fact though.
If you don't know what it is, Etheria Restart is a PvP-enabled anime gacha game that released in early June 2025, and its goal was to be a unique addition to the anime gaming space while also being the first major modern 3D PvP gacha game. For a lot of people, gacha with PvP is a red flag, but for some, it's a green light straight into a casino.
Hey, let's fucking go. Dude, I've been waiting for a PvP gacha game in so many years, okay? Ever since the rise of Genshin Impact, every new gacha game is story-driven, single-player, run around doing absolutely no fucking thing for like an hour every single day, except for when content drop, when there's a new update, then you do stuff, and then for like a month or two, you don't really do anything. You log in because it's a part-time job now. But so I want a game where you can get so nerdy over and build teams that actually matter and all that good stuff in between.
Funny enough, if PvP felt like the focus of Etheria, I probably wouldn't have disliked it so much after investing 30 hours. PvP in gacha is ultimately about who spends the most money, and I love my tax write-off. But the more I write the script and reflect on my time playing, the more I realize how up this game is. From poor game design to using AI art to save a buck, Etheria Restart is full of problems that nobody is talking about because they're all sponsored.
Oh, shit.
Hey, I'm sponsored and I still shit talk the game. I hope they still sponsor me though. God. Oh, Jack, please.
Here we go again.
When I played, I decided to stay completely free to play because when I played the beta, I wasn't impressed with the gameplay loop, and even though you'd get your money back and more from the rebate, knowing my luck, I'd have better chances on a reroll than by spending $200. So when the game released, I rerolled for 8 hours.
Hi, 今出ます。
Nobody tell bros about Vulcan. 8 hours? That's the start. Exactly.
See,
I
Etheria
did
gave
not do
out
that.
quite a few polls, but it has this huge problem that's present in some other gacha games where the best characters from the standard character pool are rarer than the worst characters. It's the sort
I made the same mistake, okay? Celine's used to be the worst character, but the more I play, the more I realize how good she is. I was in the camp that put Celine's in D tier for almost everything. And now I'm using her in Doki Doki, I'm using her in Shadow Flame Hoyen, and I don't know where I'll start using her next. Maybe in my bed, but not yet, okay? I still need her for maybe Arena to disable, revive passive or whatever. But she's rising. I mean, That's not the only thing rising.
It's the sort of scummy thing that some gacha developers do to make sure that you'll be willing to spend more money to compete in PvP or on some kind of leaderboard. And the reason it works is because most people don't know that the rarer ones are much better until it's too late for you to actually re-roll. Remember, it's not the majority of players who are watching YouTube and reading guides on games. Most people are going into Etheria without an idea of what characters they actually want to pull for. But to make matters worse, the rarer standard units, called LD units, have their own separate banner that guarantees them at 3 times the price per pull. This is another method that XD, Etheria's developers, used to trick you into thinking that the game is free-to-play friendly because the LD units can be earned without the 3 times price banner. But realistically, your odds of getting them are once per 4 SSRs, which have a 1% drop chance assuming you don't go to pity. If we assume you get super lucky and get one every 40 pulls, you'd need to do 160 pulls per LD unit, which, considering how many units there are in this game, your odds of hitting the ones that you want are significantly lower. It does have a 100% rate up on the limited character banners, but those aren't always the units you need. And you might be thinking, oh well, Brax, this is a gacha game, obviously you want to go for specific characters on your reroll, and you are 100% right. Not all SSRs and not all LD units are created equal, because if you don't have Lily, the game is basically fucking unplayable. Can you play it? Sure. Do you enjoy having your balls hooked up to a car battery? Probably. Welcome to Etheria Reroll.
Hey, the Lilyless guy here did not reroll, did not get her from even spending money. Is the game fucking hard? I agree. Is the game playable? I guess people are still trying to come up with guides and strategy to go around Lily. But right now, we do have a Lily problem in Etheria Restart. More like Lily Restart or restart until you get fucking Lily in your box, or else your life will be very miserable. Is it possible that there will be new strategy coming up into Etheria Restart that you can clear the entire game without Lily? There will be. 100% there will be strategies for you to bypass all these bosses in the game without Lily. Like, that is 100% true. But will we get there fast enough before all the players drop the game? I'm not too sure just yet, okay? The game has so much potential, guys. It could be the next big 5. I don't know, because we have like the Hoyoverse game, and then we have Wuwa, and then we have all the other random small niche game. This one could have stolen all the player from Summoners War, from Epic 7, from Raid Shadow Legends to be the one on top of the PvP gacha game. Like how Marvel Rivals came out, oh my god, Overwatch clone, and then Marvel Rivals was like steamrolling everything, and it was making so much money. Like, this game could have done the same thing by being very similar, but offer new and refreshing mechanic and design and whatever. But we are in a very gray area of Etheria Restart right now.
You're going to be here trying to get Lily for the next 4 days, because the difference between accounts that had cleared hide content by day 3 and the accounts that hadn't was that all of the ones who had cleared had Lily. Lily has a speed increase, a crit damage increase, an action advance, and a cooldown reset. This is like if...
I think bro missed the most important thing, which is like the team up.
This is like if Bronya gave you an action forward in HSR 1.0, instantly cleared MOC 12, handed you the keys to a Porsche, and sucked your... And Lily isn't the only unit that this game requires you to have to be able to keep up, because they designed the PvE to actually be hard, which honestly isn't that big of a deal if you're willing to learn, except for the fact that some bosses basically require you to build specific characters. And in order to do that, you have to log in 3 times a day for 14 business days to use your stamina and not overcap. And in fact, by then, your characters probably still wouldn't even be maxed, because it takes so goddamn long to level them to max, and then ascend them to give them another star and level them to max again, and then ascend them again to give them another star, and... This game's grind is a disaster.
I mean, honestly, okay, to a casual gacha player, logging in 3 times a day to clear your 100 stamina is kind of crazy to many people. Like, when I first started making content about the game, where the casual audience looked into the game to see that I was recommending refreshing stamina with your gem, they thought I were crazy. They thought I was a madman. Refreshing your pool currency for stamina? Are you fucking retarded? Exactly. But honestly, without doing that, you can't really progress in the game, which is like a good thing for so many people because they love playing the game, which is also a bad thing for many people who hate doing that. Like, ain't nobody got time to farm. I think that's why they have like the background app close farming ability, which is kind of cool. And I think farming is just a part of the game because they pretty much copy the whole way of how Summoners for Epic 7 Raid Shadow Legends do their thing, which is to farm a whole lot. At least they cap the farming in this game so that when I finish my stamina, I can actually go to sleep, because in other game, you don't farm equal you don't progress equal you are actually not keeping up with everybody else. But here, I'm done with my stamina. I know everybody else is also done with their stamina. I can go to sleep in peace, which is kind of good. Kinda, okay?
This game has so much grinding to it that the club would be jealous. First off, you have shells, which are basically weapons with RNG sets. Then you have modules, which are gear with RNG stats and RNG sets. Then you have prowess, which is your character's skill levels that takes not only specific missions, but also incredibly rare resources that you have very limited amounts of. And the character's level and ascension, which XP can be farmed for, but at very slow rates. And once you max out the character's level, you
this is the worst part, guys. Like, other part, still acceptable. The EXP part in this game is very stupid. I don't know why.
Have to ascend them to make them even stronger, and those resources are ridiculously limited as well. Problem is that it takes so many resources and so much time to level a character, their shell, their prowesses, and their modules that free-to-play players are better off going to college for 4 years and getting a job to swipe instead. And not only does it take a ridiculous amount of time and stamina to level characters, it also takes a ridiculous amount of time to level your account as well. Each 10 stamina you spend is 10 experience, so it's basically a level or 2 a day after you get somewhat into the game, and less than a level a day at higher level. If you use premium currency, you can refill stamina up to 10 times a day though, which will put you literally 3 to 4 days ahead every single day, which massively helps you get through the story locked content and get to PvP faster. We all thought this was going to be a PvP focused game with PvE in it, and somehow the devs made it a PvE game where you can only get to the...
By the way, for this part, so when I was still free to play, when I was still a virgin, okay, when I was still trying to go to the game free to play, so for the first 10 days, I refreshed stamina every single day 10 times to the max. At the end of the 10 days, I had 18,000 gem. And I have summoned almost 400 times in the standard banner. So a decent amount of summon in the early game. Okay? We don't know what the mid game and the end game is going to look like. I hope it's going to be better. But let's be real, it's going to be worse. But at least in the early game, even if you max refresh stamina and you summon with only the things that the game give you, you still can actually do a lot of summon and still play the game to the maximum that they allow you to play. But it's kind of going downhill from there. A little bit. I don't know, okay? Because United Front just came out, which was we need more feedback for that part. And we haven't completed the arena at the highest point yet. And then there's also RTN doesn't give you currency. And we don't know what is the future after Hyperlink Shatter. Because the current event is looking okay, but Hyperlink Shatter is the thing that hold the game together. So without that, I'm not sure if I can still do that as a free-to-play player. But if you start spending money, then that's a different story, right? That is an entirely different story. But let's move on.
Third style missions. At the beginning of the game, you're required to do the story, which ultimately isn't that big of a deal, but I would be lying to you if I didn't say that that was one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had in a gacha game. It's not that the story is hard, it's that the story missions are a chore. It feels like you're in a tiny little box and you have to go from one side to the other and you can't stray at all. And whenever there's an enemy, there's a 50-50 chance you get forced into a combat session. If you're a story enjoyer, I'm sure it's fine, but the year is 2025. Why is the story being told like our phones are Nokia bricks? Also, in order to access PvP, you have to do the story up to a certain point. In fact, to access and move forward with any part of the game, you're required to do the story. The one saving grace is that there is a skip button for people who don't care, but because the story is level gated, there's a lot of times where you just can't play the game beyond doing daily auto farm missions unless you spend your premium currency on refills of stamina. On the contrary to that, when you level up, you get more stamina that you have to spend immediately or you'll overcap. So sometimes you're forced not to play the game, and other times you're forced to play the game. And all of this is just on the quest to get to a high enough level to be able to farm the endgame gear so that way you can play the PvP. How long does it take to get to endgame farming and actually compete in PvP as a free-to-play player who's not wasting their premium currency? Drum roll, please. 30 to 60 days.
わかってる
Okay, you know what? I kind of agree. It takes forever to get to the farming part. And the farming part right now is a fucking nightmare. It's a hellhole in there. So much discussion going on. But if you're not using gem to refresh your stamina, oh god, it's gonna take 20 billion light years to get there.
You have to play through this auto farm slop for 1 to 2 months just to be able to enjoy endgame PvP. And enjoy is being used loosely, because if you're free to play, you should honestly just give up. If you don't have the right units, you're going to struggle with PvE farming and PvP. This game's progression is so incredibly slow that it feels terrible to try and level up. It feels like your characters make no progress daily. The pacing is so poor that for most people, the only way you're going to enjoy this game is by spending. I mean, this is literally the gameplay for almost 2 months. You would genuinely have a better time watching paint dry and eating the paint chips off the wall afterwards. And honestly, I was gonna leave the video mostly at that, just being, you know,
I mean, is it really the gameplay though? Because I think when you doing this, you're probably off doing either arena, or you're doing the side story boss, or you're doing Ember Track, or you're doing Ethernet Rally. There are other things that doesn't consume stamina you can play at the same time while this is happening in the background. Like, nobody sit here and watch this, right? I'm not too sure though. But most of the time, I don't really play the game. I turn on the auto run, I go off and I do the things that matter in my life instead of watching this. So it's kind of great, to be honest. Like, we can turn off the app and actually go on Tinder or something to swipe while I'm on the toilet seat. For other games, I have to sit there and watch the fucking autoplay, aka Summoner's War. I have to watch it, and I can't really turn it off and go and watch anime or something. But I do agree that the progression is hella slow. But then if you say that, there's gonna be the true Etheria shield that's gonna tell you, you are not supposed to reach endgame in a week or 2 or 3, something like that. But yeah, I agree. It's very, very slow.
almost 2 months. You would genuinely have a better time watching paint dry and eating the paint chips off the wall afterwards. And honestly, I was gonna leave the video mostly at that, just being, you know, kind of pay to win and not very fun in the PvE. But then the devs decided to suicide their game.
Oh,
Here's the
no.
thing, they decided to make a pretty good overall PvP system, with different game modes like an offline defense mode and a real-time arena. They even have private matches and a system made for casting tournaments. It's honestly super impressive how much work they put into it and how well it functions. Duplicates of characters still do give bonus stats, and your units matter just as much as your gear, but that's about what you'd expect from a gacha game. And for sure, the best part of Etheria Restart is how good the PvP system is, despite its flaws. The weird part though is that they've been nerfing units that people spent weeks worth of resources on. The trash! Because, get this, the boss that's meant to be farmed is being farmed too easily. And no, I'm not joking. Within 2 weeks of this game being released, they felt like people were farming the game too easily, so they nerfed a character that people spent all of that time investing in. Like, I just don't get the thought process there. The whole point of the gacha game is for you to not play the game that much. Like, there's literally stamina in the game for that reason, to stop you from playing all the time. So I don't really understand why it would be a problem that people are clearing the content that they're supposed to be clearing, using a strategy that's completely fair and within the rules of the game. Balancing characters to PvE is a
All right. Very funny though. Very funny though. I agree. Like, you should not really touch PvE strategy or nerfing PvE in general. We should do that for the PvP stuff, okay? Let people have a fun, easy, nice time farming with whatever they come up with. But if you go back to this frame right here, it's very funny, because it's a little bit funny that the exact three unit that we see here, right? They did not really nerf. I think they kind of nerfed Veronica a little bit because they call her skill 3 too strong, but they did not directly nerf any of this. So Shadow Sana is still one of the most popular PvE character right now. Ciara is still being used with Revelation in Doki Doki for her crazy AoE damage, and Veronica is in one of the team that people use for Termaton to provide the undead mechanic where you can't fall below 1 health, but not a very fun team though. It takes like 20 billion light years to clear the dungeon. But still, they're all being used in the content. Like that's just how it is. But I agree though, nothing PvE just feel like a very, very sad move by the dev team. Like they could have just let it be. Like who give a shit about, come on now, right? Like they should make PvE easier, honestly. Because right now Amber Track is not easy. Ethernet Rally is not easy. And God knows what Infinity Whale Train are gonna bring in the event later on to make PvE even harder.
People are clearing the content that they're supposed to be clearing using a strategy that's completely fair and within the rules of the game. Balancing characters to PvE is a huge mistake for a game with PvP in it. Naturally, players weren't too happy with the decision. After all, what sense does it make to make PvE farming harder in a gacha game? And to add insult to injury, XD didn't even offer to refund players their invested resources until players began to criticize them for it. As mentioned 30 times in this video already, it takes a ridiculous amount of resources to level a character in that game. It's like they don't even play their own game. I don't know what they're thinking. At this point, if recent events are anything to go off of, then Etheria Restart is more cooked than the chicken I had for dinner because I'm terrified of food poisoning. Speaking of cooked though, it gets even worse for Etheria because genuinely, what the fuck is this? Yeah, so basically to save a couple bucks and not hire real artists, XD used generative AI to create their character splash arts. Now sure, I can understand the argument that it's XD's game and they can do what they want with their own property, but what I'm wondering is, if this company has millions of dollars to spend on marketing and made back millions more dollars in the first week of the game, how is it that they couldn't afford to throw $10,000 at an actual artist to make their splash arts and not have huge glaring errors in them? That kind of lazy.
This part, I agree. Yeah, AI fucking sucks, right? We need real people making real art. Companies should spend more money on their actual material that they are putting out to the player base. It's not something that's going to affect gameplay. Like the gameplay nerd couldn't give two shit about the art or the AI art being used, like whatever the fuck. Like they don't really care, right? Like I'm a gameplay nerd. Do I really care about what art is here, what art is there? I don't really think I do, okay, gonna be totally honest right there, but I also agree that real artists should be hired to make real art for the game if they can afford to do so. And with the millions of dollars that they earn in the launch month, maybe we can see improvement in the art style, in the splash art, in the 3D model, if possible, in the background art of different battle as well, because I think right now it feels kind of empty a little bit in the United Front, in the RTA, like they all could look a bit better in my opinion. So maybe art improvement in the future.
Gives me the impression that XD doesn't actually care about making the game good at all, and that they're just in on the gacha rug pull meta developed over the past few years. Don't get me wrong, it looks better than Epic 7 by far, but this game still feels like it's so far behind every other.
Okay, Epic 7 looks fucking beautiful. I don't care. I fucking love the Epic 7 2D. Like every character looks like, holy bruh, looks so good. I fucking love Epic 7 art, okay?
New gacha game. With its story missions, its archaically and needlessly confusing UI, and its extra gacha rarity mentality. The game is highly unit dependent, resources are incredibly scarce, the story gameplay isn't engaging, and it takes you forever to even start farming gear for PvP, in which case you're already behind everyone who's swiped if you're free to play. And I haven't even spoken about the monetary advantage.
I think everyone that is free to play, unless you are fucking god tier in terms of luck, will always be behind anyone that pays to be ahead of you. I think that is just like fact. It's just like real life, right? The rich guy will be ahead of you in some way, unless you are very lucky, you are a fucking genius, you are a tactical turn-based gameplay god, then you can sort of go around and try to be ahead of them. I saw on Discord discussion in the official server, there was a post about a guy who spent 600 euros and he is now behind the free-to-play player in his guild. Like, how crazy is that? That is absolutely insane. And he is pissed that the free-to-play player with Lily is now outpacing him because he didn't get Lily because he spent money but didn't get lucky, right? So there's that as well. But honestly, I think free to play and pay to win, like I don't really care what the pay to win player does. They can get ahead of me. They can make me give head to them. I don't give a shit, okay? Because they pay for the game to be free for everybody else. So they play in their own rank, to be honest, because in 3 months or 6 months in a year, the pay to win player will be competing against other pay to win player. And then whatever you're spending, whatever your account's at, you're going to be fighting other people with the same wallet. But if you get lucky or you are really good at the game, you're going to get a point where you will start to compete with the pay-to-win player. You're going to feel like shit. But I think it is what it is in every gacha game, whether you are PvE game or PvP game. It doesn't freaking matter, right? Every gacha game is pay to win.
Yet. There are so many low spender packs to try and get you to spend, and if you do spend, the advantages you get over free-to-play players is absolutely disgusting. From just having more SSRs to actually leveling them and progressing them further faster. Etheria Restart is incredibly pay to win, as much as they don't want you to believe it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I gave up after 30 hours. Not because of the pay to win, not because the game was too hard or anything like that, but because it just wasn't fun. At least not for me. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who enjoy Etheria Restart, and it is 100% free to try it, so if you want to give it a go, go for it. But I can't in good faith recommend this game to anyone, because at the moment, the progression systems are poorly developed, the gameplay doesn't feel that engaging unless you're in PvP, and even when you're there, it's so pay to win favored that you probably would be better off just finding another game to play. I would rather play League. I have 12 hours played in 10 years of having an account. I fucking hate that game. There is one thing that this game does extremely well though, and that's unions. If you have a group of friends that you love to play with, unions provide a way for you guys to support each other better than your parents did. But I'm gonna be honest.
All right, not gonna lie, this right now has a lot of problem. I fucking love Guild War, okay? I love guild battles so much. I love the system where you build team for your guild and then you attack to achieve a common goal with your guild. But right now, this has a lot of problem in it. The normal arena feels a bit better to play, not gonna lie.
Group of friends that you love to play with, unions provide a way for you guys to support each other better than your parents did. But I'm gonna be honest, that's over free.
Also, this shop, if you compare it to the actual pay-to-win game that we all know and love, like if you watch me, you know the actual pay-to-win shop I'm talking about. Like this looks like a charity shop compared to the actual pay-to-win shop that we know and love. So the whales have been complaining that they don't get that much more value out of their dollar spent in the game, which is kind of funny to me. So if you're like a casual player and you're like a story lover, and you are a Hoyoverse fan, for example, right? You love playing game for the story, for the art style, and you don't want to play the game too much every single day. This game is 100% not for you, and that is totally fine. Like, if you hate the game, I don't really care. You know what? You can hate and love whatever the fuck you want, and it is totally fine. I agree with a lot of takes that Brax had in the video, and some of them were a bit outdated, but it's okay. He didn't play the game for a whole lot before he dropped it, which is totally understandable, to be honest. Like, I'm not watching this video to hate on Brax or anything, because I think he should enjoy whatever he enjoyed. It doesn't fucking matter. He was in Tectone Guild, so he was forced to play the game for a while, and he definitely really hated it. But anyway, guys, I'll try to love Etheria. I have a lot of hope for the dev team to do something about the game to make it better and more fun for the casual player base, because I think Brax is a very good representation of the casual player base. And we need casual player. We need a healthy population of the game, and not just the gacha elitists or the tryhard or the people who want to keep the game for themselves and never receive any criticism. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.